Hey guys, Flip Flop here. Today, I want to talk about something really important to all of us beloved NFL football fans: the integrity of the game. Now, there's kind of two components that revolve around integrity. Number one is the state of officiating. Kind of, are the refs biased towards any certain team? Yeah, trust me. As a Chiefs fan, I hear it all. Everybody's saying the league's rigged or scripted for us to win every year. I hear it all. I see it. Um, you know, Biases, scripting, like I was saying. Also, are the refs throwing too many flags? Has the game kind of got watered down? Is the roughing the passers? Is the unnecessary roughness, especially on quarterbacks, getting out of hand? And so today I want to talk about a few different things. I'm going to make it three parts to this video. Part one, we'll actually answer whether we think it's actually rigged or scripted or biased. Part two, we'll talk about kind of the rule changes that I think have led to the officiating getting so rampant and out of hand, and why I think it actually has made it hard for the refs to correctly make calls when all the rule changes are so out of hand. And then the third final part is a solution to both: how to make it feel as fair and with as high of integrity as possible for us fans and for the league themselves, for all the teams and players involved. And then also a solution to try to keep the rule changes from getting out of hand and just making us all confused and being so wishy-washy and inconsistent. And so, without further ado, let's get right into this. So part one, the first component: is the NFL rigged? I'm going to say no. I absolutely do not think the NFL is rigged. That's, to me, a silly notion to think that there's executives of the league, heads of officiating behind closed doors in a secret dark room plotting, game planning, trying to draw a script of who's going to win, making the Chiefs win the Super Bowl every year, trying to just choose who's going to be their next poster boy. I don't think they're doing that. It doesn't really make sense to me. Players growing up their whole lives, working hard to get to the NFL, playing unscripted, competitive football, and then they get to the league, and then all of a sudden they have to follow a script, and it's predetermined who's going to win, and then expecting them to all stay quiet about it. Nah, not a chance. However, just because it's not rigged or scripted doesn't mean that there aren't certain biases in play. As a Chiefs fan, I do want to be 100% honest and have the utmost integrity in winning. Even if we could win by breaking the rules and nobody knew or nobody would find out, I would know, and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would know. And so we only want to win fairly, or else it doesn't feel right. But unfortunately, I do think there are biases that benefit my team, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that the refs, I think that they don't want to be the reason that we lose. I think that they know how much money we bring the NFL, how entertaining we are for fans to watch play. And so if there's any 50-50 calls to be made, which happens a lot in any football game, if there's a chance to, whether it's 50-50 to throw a flag or to not throw a flag, I think that we benefit from all the 50-50 calls. And it's kind of an unfair bias that does exist in football. And so it's easy for me to say that you kind of have to live with it. There's nothing you can really do about it. It's easy for me to say those things, being the person that benefits from it. But to be honest, it's always been a part of football. I can go through countless examples. Back in the 70s, when the Steelers were a dynasty, they were playing an AFC championship game against the Houston Oilers, and this receiver, Mike Renfro, made a toe-tap catch in the back of the end zone. It would have made the score 17-17, and to me, it was a blatantly obvious catch, but the officials called it out of bounds to halt the Oilers' momentum and help the Steelers win. They were the poster boys at the time. That's one ancient example I can think of. The Patriots dynasty with Tom Brady, the Tuck rule, don't even get me started on that. People saying Mahomes can never be better than Brady because Mahomes doesn't have the refs in his pocket. How naive and how quickly people forget the Tuck rule, the Jesse James no catch that they called against Pittsburgh that would have given them the 1 seed over the Patriots. the 2017 AFC Championship against Jacksonville when they made goofy calls against the Jaguars to help the Patriots stay in the game. Yes, credit to the Patriots for making the comeback. Nobody can do it for them, but the refs sure can give you second and third chances. The offsides on us, D Ford, back when the Patriots were still the hot commodity, when they were still the poster boys. Just, I can go on and on. And yes, with us too, we've received beneficial calls. The pass interference against the Eagles helped us win the last Super Bowl. This year alone, against the Broncos in the regular season, we were down 14-3 in our first game against them, and there was a phantom holding call on the defense that gave us a free first down, and we ended up scoring when we otherwise would have had to have punted. It was actually so suspicious that they didn't even show a replay of it in the broadcast. They were actually showing one replay, but then they cut it off as quickly as possible. And I tried to find footage of it, but I couldn't find footage of it anywhere. It was just kind of a phantom, just a ghost call to give us an extra chance. And then against Houston, a weird illegal block downfield call on Dalton Schultz to kick Houston out of field goal range in an important moment in the game. Again, all those things, all the examples I've listed probably were penalties. They probably were. They always say that on any given play, you can look around and you can find a penalty somewhere. Every single play, there's a little ticky-tacky penalty somewhere. It's just a matter of how egregious is it and when do you call it. And so I think that those technically were penalties, but I think that the refs were just a little more urgent to call it in our favor, and they wouldn't be as urgent to call it in favor of another team, or if it was something that would hurt us. That's the truth. I hate to say it, but I think it's the way it's been. I think it's the way it always is. And so I think it's just kind of something that you have to kind of live with. There's always biases in life. Biases. This goat is being so silly, petting herself on me. Biases in the workforce, bosses with their favorite colleagues, biases in school, teachers having their teacher's pet. It's a part of life. And so maybe, if you have any ideas to how to balance it out, please tell me, because I would love it. Even if it would hurt my team a little bit, it'd be nice to see it 100% fair. But and then also the 4th and 1 against the tush push that Josh Allen tried against us. Yes, bad call by Buffalo, trying to do it over and over after we were stuffing it repeatedly. But at the same time, I think that if we were the ones doing that sneak, they would have given us the first. Because again, it was truly 50-50 on whether the ball crossed the line. And so I think they just made sure the 50-50 went in our favor. But again, moving on, enough about that. I think we all kind of figured that. There's a little bit of biases, but I think scripted or rigged is absurd, a little far-fetched, a little too far. Part 2. Kind of why it's hard for the officials sometimes to make the right call, and kind of how the officiating has gotten a little bit out of hand for them. If y'all remember the old NFL back in the 70s, back in the 50s, it was a barbaric time. Clotheslines were legal. You could grab people by the face mask and yank them down. You could hit people in the head when they were defenseless as hard as you could. And, there are some crazy highlights of hard hitters. Just look at Night Train Lane highlights from the 1950s if you don't believe me. Chuck Bednarik, other hard hitters. And so it was a crazy time, but there were so many devastating career-ending injuries, people kind of getting paralyzed even sometimes, and then players later in life developing CTE and other brain injuries, not being able to walk right. And so the NFL kind of started making it a case to enforce a few rules to promote players' safety. This all started happening maybe around the 90s or the early 2000s. Really started happening a lot. And I think it's good. I think that we know football is a violent sport. We know what we sign up for when we play it, but we don't want to take away the integrity of the game. Fear factor is a big part of the game. So we want to be able to allow people to have hard hits, be able to instill fear in their opponents, and kind of use intimidation tactics to play football. And so, yes, at first it was good, not allowing anything too egregious. You can tackle someone by the shoulders or by the pads. You don't need to grab them by the face mask and risk breaking their neck or something. If someone's defenseless, you don't need to try to decapitate them on the field. There's really no need for that. Those were good rules. It was a good idea at first to promote player safety, but we've gotten way out of hand in 2025 right now. It's just out of control. The amount of roughing the passer, penalties they call on quarterbacks for barely getting touched, is kind of a joke. Even in the last Chiefs game, Troy Aikman was saying how this needs to be addressed. The quarterbacks are sitting there dancing, playing games with the defenders, and then in the last second they're like dropping down to the ground. And if a defender even touches them, they get a 15-yard penalty called against them. It's not fair to the defense. Defense is an integral part of football and an integral part of life, and so this is not the right message to be sending, that you can't play defense or you just can't touch somebody or it's a penalty. It's not right. And as a Chiefs fan who's benefited from a few roughing the passer calls, it's not right. Mahomes shouldn't be able to flop, and and I appreciate that he admitted he flopped and he regretted doing it. I respect him a lot for that. It was a mistake and he admitted it, so that makes me love him even more. But nobody should really be able to flop like that, and that's something that we need to prevent going forward. QBs faking the slide and then continuing to run is just out of control, and it's softened the game so badly. The helmet-to-helmet contact penalties they've called, it makes defenders afraid to even hit somebody. It's hard. How do they even tackle if they're coming full speed and then an offensive player just falls to the ground at the last second? How are they supposed to halt their momentum and just not touch them? Otherwise, they'll get a penalty. Football's a game of momentum, a game of inertia and force, and so it's just pathetic to me. Nobody likes it. I don't, as big of a football fan as there is, and I know most of you probably don't like it either. And so, yes, it wasn't the name of player safety. That's why I think it's become hard for the refs, because it's so 50-50 on what's a penalty and what isn't. But my third and final part of this video, I've gone for 11 and a half minutes right now, so I want to finish up soon. How do we fix it? How do we fix these problems? As far as the biases and as far as the rigging and stuff like that, it would have been better if there was no sports betting, because I think betting has kind of opened the door for people to take money under the door. Money really does corrupt all things. The love of money truly is the root of all evil, as it's written and as we all know through life. And so where there's money under the table to be won for people, where people can profit from things, there's always going to be biases and rigging going on and different things of that nature. And so the solution is to just play the game for your heart. Everybody involved in the NFL in the future, get involved because of your love of the game, because of your passion, because of your true desire for it. In here, that's my left side. Not for money. Take money out of it. That'll stop all the biases and whatnot, all the scripting or the rigging that people think there is. The solution for the penalties is a little bit different. I have a really, really, really brilliant idea for how we can make it easy, plain and simple for the refs to call the penalties, whether it's a flag or not, and to promote player safety. A win-win for everybody. I don't know how nobody's ever thought of this before, but my solution is to kind of get rid of all the silly penalties about like the helmet-to-helmet contact and about the this and the that, and you replace it with one penalty. We can call it, let's name it excessive contact on a defenseless player or something like that. Something along those lines. And so this penalty, this hypothetical penalty that we could create, it can apply to any player of any position. If you're a quarterback and you're throwing a ball and somebody comes and takes out your legs too low, that should be a penalty. That's excessive contact on a defenseless player. If you're a receiver and you're going up for a pass and it's over your head and somebody comes and whams you in your ear hole, that should be a penalty. That's excessive contact. That's trying to get someone a concussion and hurt them. If you're an offensive lineman and you're engaged in a block and somebody comes and sweeps out your legs, that's a chop block anyways. That should be a penalty. It's contact on a defenseless player. Even if you're a defensive player, if you have somebody wrapped up, if you're trying to make a tackle and you have someone wrapped up and someone comes and blindsides you in the back of the head, or if you're trying to chase the ball carrier down and somebody comes on the side and wails you from behind, that should be a penalty. Or if they sweep out your legs and risk a lower body injury, a hip drop tackle. If you're trying to tackle somebody and instead of just wrapping them and bringing them to the ground, you swing your body around trying to take out their legs and break their ankle. Those are all examples of defenseless contact, excessive contact on defenseless players. Sorry for those dogs barking. They're having a fight back there. But that could apply for offensive or defensive players. It protects literally everybody at every single position on the field. It'll keep players safe. It'll make it super easy for a referee to see if that contact, he's not worried about how hard was the hit, because hard hits should be allowed. We all love, we're testosterone filled men. We want to see hard hits. We want to see impactful, violent football. We want the defenders to be able to play. But the referee can watch the game and they can see plain as day if that was a hard hit, so it's fine, or if that was excessive, that player was defenseless. You throw a flag, and I'm all for harsh punishments. If someone's out to hurt somebody, kick him out of the game. Ban him from the league. Players like Burfict and Ndamukong Suh should have been banned. Albert Hainsworth should have been banned a long time ago. Shouldn't have been given all those chances when they're just out there blatantly trying to hurt people. I'm all for strict and harsh punishments. I'm big about that if somebody is malicious and has ill intent in their heart. But at the same time, give them a chance. Give everybody a chance. Make it reasonable. And so this is how you make it reasonable right here. This is truly how you do it. One new penalty for all positions. Blatantly, plain as day, a referee can call a flag so easily if that's excessive contact to a defenseless player. 15 yards. If it happens twice, you're ejected from the game. Maybe even once if it's egregious enough. You can bring in the flagrant 1 or the flagrant 2 thing that the NBA has. Those are all just ideas, and those are all just kind of my thoughts on the integrity of the game right now. I rambled kind of a while, but if you watched the entire thing, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all these matters. I really do want to see the game that we love be filled with integrity and honesty again. And so, not that it isn't right now, it's still a great game. I still love the NFL, but nothing's ever perfect. There's a few things we can do to change it and make it better, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's a part of life. Things go in cycles, up and down. Life's like a roller coaster. It's not always smooth sailing like that. But all right, guys, hope y'all enjoyed. Y'all be sure to let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you guys want to see. I hope you all have an incredibly blessed rest of y'all's day in the Lord Jesus' name, and I will catch y'all next time.